Good evening from Washington. I'm Larry O'Connor. It was a very dramatic day today in the House of Representatives, specifically the Judiciary Committee, as Special Counsel Robert Durham presented his report and presented himself for questions from the assembled congressmen. And Democrats, for their part, they all seemed to follow the same theme. First, every time they were going to ask a question, they thanked Mr. Durham for being there to present his report on Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. But of course, this wasn't a report about Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. It was a report on how the Justice Department and the FBI handled the investigation into the Russian collusion hoax, how they actually investigated Donald Trump, his campaign, people who worked on his campaign, and then President Trump when he was in the White House and members of his administration without any actual evidence that would have triggered an investigation in any other circumstance. There was no reason for any of this investigation. It was all built on lies set up by the Clinton campaign. That's what this report is about. And Democrats tried to distract the American people, tried to say this is really all about Russian interference in the 2016 election. Oh, and you notice how I'm saying it's the Russian collusion hoax. They actually claimed today, Democrats did, that if you use the term Russian collusion hoax, you're really trying to deny that there was any Russian interference in the 2016 election. But of course, that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is Donald Trump had nothing to do with it and never colluded with the Russian government. We're saying that because that's exactly what the evidence shows. There never should have been an investigation. And you would think Democrats would be just as concerned about the weaponization of the FBI and the Justice Department as Republicans and independents are, but they're not. They're cheering it on, and that should tell you something. Now, it was a very long hearing, and there was a whole lot of great moments, but if you see just one exchange, I want you to see this one. It's between the chairman, Jim Jordan, and Mr. Durham. Watch and listen carefully.
Mr. Durham, in the summer of 2016, did our government receive intelligence that suggested Secretary Clinton had approved a plan to tie President Trump to Russia?
Yes.
Was that intelligence important enough for Director Brennan to go brief the President of the United States, the Vice President of the United States, the Attorney General of the United States, and the Director of the FBI?
Yes.
And was that intelligence put then into a memorandum, a referral memorandum?
Yes.
And was that memorandum then given to Director Comey and Agent Struck?
That's who it was addressed to, yes.
Did Director Comey share that memorandum with the FISA court?
I'm sorry,
Did he share that memorandum with the FISA court? Did Director Comey do that?
I'm not aware of that if he did.
Did he share it with the lawyers preparing the FISA application?
Not to my knowledge.
Did he share it with the agents on the case, working the Crossfire Hurricane case?
No.
Didn't share it with the agents on the case. Can you tell the committee what happened when you took that referral memo and shared it with one of those agents, specifically Supervisory Special Agent Number 1?
We interviewed the first supervisor of the Crossfire investigation, the operational person. We showed him the intelligence information. He indicated he had never seen it before. He immediately became emotional, got up and left the room with his lawyer, spent some time in the hallway, came back.
He was ticked off, wasn't he?
Yes.
He was ticked off because this is something he should have had as an agent on the case. This is important information that the director of the FBI kept from the people doing the investigation.
The information was kept from him.
Let me summarize what you just heard, because it's the crux of this entire thing. In the summer of 2016, in the height of the presidential election, the director of the CIA, John Brennan, informed President Barack Obama, Vice President Joe Biden, the Attorney General, and the director of the FBI, James Comey, about a plot, a plan, a scheme that he had heard about, that he learned as director of the CIA, about Hillary Clinton and their campaign trying to set up a false story that Donald Trump was colluding with the Russians. James Comey took that information, put together a memo, sent it to Andrew McCabe and Peter Strzok. What did they do with it? Well, they didn't do anything with it. They ignored it. They certainly didn't share it with any of the investigators that they were assembling for what became the counterintelligence investigation known as Crossfire Hurricane. None of the actual FBI special agents who conducted that investigation into the Trump campaign had any idea that everyone, from the president all the way down to the FBI director and the associate FBI director, knew for a fact that the whole thing had been hatched by Hillary Clinton and the Clinton campaign. Those are facts. And the Democrats didn't want you to know that. In fact, when Adam Schiff, the man who went on cable news on a daily basis during the Trump presidency to say that he had seen the evidence of Russian collusion, even though there was none, he lied. When he had a chance to question Mr. Durham, he wanted to talk about some Trump Tower meeting with pretend Russians or something. Watch.
Was informed that a Russian official was offering the Trump campaign, quote, very high level and sensitive information, unquote, that would be incriminating if Hillary Clinton was part of, quote, Russia and its government support of Mr. Trump. You aware of that?
Sure, people get phone calls all the time from individuals who claim to have information like that.
Really, the son of a presidential candidate gets calls all the time from a foreign government offering dirt on their opponent? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think this is unique in your experience.
Wonder what he's got on Mr. Schiff. I mean, we know that Mr. Schiff took phone calls from foreign governments with people who claimed they had dirt on Donald Trump. In fact, one of those phone calls was actually from a bunch of pranksters in Russia who were sort of doing a phony phone call radio prank for YouTube, and he took it hook, line, and sinker. But Adam Schiff just wants you to talk about a Trump Tower meeting that, by the way, was investigated by Robert Durham and found that there was really no violation of any sorts. But that's the kind of questioning you saw from Democrats today. Or you saw Sheila Jackson Lee, very concerned that Robert Durham, as a U.S. attorney and then special counsel, over the course of 11 months, exchanged a handful of text messages with Attorney General William Barr. Chairman Jordan took up the lead after that line of questioning.
The gentlelady yields back. I think this is amazing, Mr. Durham. You had 8 text messages with the Attorney General of the United States in 11 months time period. That's amazing. I can't believe that.
Mr. Chairman, parliamentary inquiry. Whose time is that you were speaking on?
That was that time that was yielded to me earlier that I yielded back, I think.
That's a select
Mr. Chairman, that is absolutely inappropriate.
I was just pointing out something that I think is so
Mr. Chairman, that is not appropriate.
And we will go to Mr. Klein for 5 minutes. The gentleman from Virginia, is recognized.
It's inappropriate for you to show what a fool I am. Finally, the pièce de la résistance from the Democrats, Representative Steve Cohen of Tennessee, challenged Mr. Durham's integrity and honor. Why? Because he didn't come out against Donald Trump.
You have a good reputation. You had a good reputation. That's why the 2 Democrats supported you. But the longer you hold on to Mr. Barr and this report that Mr. Barr gave you as special counsel, your reputation will be damaged. As everybody's reputation who gets involved with Donald Trump is damaged, he's damaged goods. There's no good dealing with him because you will end up on the bottom of a pyre. I yield back the balance of my time.
Sure.
We presume the gentleman's undecided on how he feels about the former president.
Gentlemen, the witness can respond.
Yeah, my concern about my reputation is with the people who I respect and my family and my Lord. And I'm perfectly comfortable with my reputation with them, sir.
Well said. God bless.
You had a good reputation, you had a good reputation, you had a good reputation, says Representative Steve Cohen from Tennessee. Funny, those are words that are never actually uttered about Representative Steve Cohen of Tennessee, nor will they ever be. There's more to come on O'Connor tonight.